This video picks up on page 5 of the notes handout. And if we look at page 5, we're talking about Louis XIV consolidating power in France and forming an absolute monarchy. So picking up on the top of page 5, keys to the consolidation of power. What Louis XIV has to do is he has to zero out the sovereignty, the political decision-making power of all other power holders in French society and put all of that sovereignty, political decision-making authority in his own hands. Therefore, he has to zero out the power of all the lords around France in all these tiny little decentralized pockets and put all that sovereignty in his own hands. So how does he do so, and what does this mean for the French lords? As you can see here at the bottom of page 5, Louis XIV has a large standing army, the biggest in Europe. So some French lords are going to fight and try to maintain their sovereignty, and they're going to die at the hands of Louis XIV's army. They're going to go down trying to maintain their sovereignty. Or Louis XIV and the Bourbon monarchy are going to offer the lords a deal, and that deal is described there at the top of page 5. France under Louis XIV, and you've got these in the bullet points at the top of page 5, fit the description as being run as an agreement between kings and the nobility to rule in their interests at the expense of the common people. So the deal that Louis XIV offers the lords is they can go along with the absolute monarchy and hand their sovereignty over to Louis XIV, and in exchange, they'll be maintained in hereditary power and privilege. They'll be maintained in a hereditary upper class status. They will not be reduced to some type of underclass or peasant status. And they'll continue to be part of the hereditary hierarchy. As it says here at the bottom of the second bullet point, the maintenance of the lord's elite status was secured primarily through tax exemption. So when we're talking about this formation of absolute monarchy in France as a system of government established at the expense of the common people, realistically what this means is a big tax burden is going to get dumped on the underclass. This political system, an arrangement made amongst the elites, is going to be shouldered by the underclass, who are going to get crushed with taxation to underwrite the whole system. Louis XIV will get all sovereignty and form an absolute monarchy. The lords, they won't have any political power left, but they'll be maintained in wealth and hereditary privilege. All of this will be done at the expense of the common people, who will be underwriting all of this by getting a big tax burden dumped on them. The architecture is a good indicator of what occurs for the French lords. The French lords move into chateaus during the time of absolute monarchy. And here you can see an indicator that the French lords are doing quite well. You can see they live in luxury, they live in mansions. Obviously, it's not Versailles, but they're doing very well. The way they're maintained in this level of privilege is due to tax exemption. They don't have to pay any taxes. The underclass is paying all the taxes, and they're maintained in hereditary privilege and are obviously doing quite well economically. Previously, the lords had lived in castles. And castles are meant to maintain political power. They're defensive fortresses to maintain political power and to maintain sovereignty over a territorial realm. A lord would have any number of castles throughout their territorial realm to maintain their political and military control over that territory. Well, they don't have any sovereignty anymore. That political power and decision-making is gone. It's been handed over to Louis XIV. So they don't need to live in castles anymore. They can live in chateaus. Note the moat here. They still have the throwback to the moat back in the old days, but now it's been transformed into like a lawn decoration, a water feature of landscaping. So make sure you understand the significance of the chateau as it represents the transformation that the lords have gone through. Are they still part of the upper class and the hereditary elite? Yes, most definitely. Do they have any sovereignty? No, and you can see that. You're not going to be able to defend a territorial realm militarily and for the purposes of political power from a chateau. But they don't have any sovereignty left, so they're just left to live in luxury and hereditary privilege at the expense of the underclass. The Bourbon monarchy under Louis XIV gets what it wants, consolidation of all sovereignty in the society in the hands of the monarch.